What's going on, guys? It's Picsoleated, and today we are looking at another pair of sneakers adding on to the now relatively large catalog of collaborative sneakers between Adidas and Kanye. We are of course looking at the sodium heavy Yeezy 700 in the salt colorway, and I'm not sure how salty people really are if they didn't get these, but we'll get into all of that. The Yeezy 700 Salt released on Saturday, February 23rd, 2019, and is the fourth colorway of the Yeezy 700 to release to the public so far. Before these, we had the Yeezy 700 V2 Static, which is technically an upgraded version of the same shoe. Then we had the Mauves and the classic Yeezy 700 Wave Runner, the one that started it all. Being at the forefront of what was initially considered to be the chunky dad shoe trend, but has now cemented itself in sneaker culture as the norm of classic runner-inspired sneakers with thicker midsoles, the Yeezy 700 is a pioneer in this genre of sneakers. But although a common characteristic between this style of shoes is the crazy colorways, the Yeezy 700 Salt takes the opposite approach. And with that being said, let's go over the materials. If you've seen a pair of Yeezy 700s before, you know almost entirely what to expect here with a few tweaks. The upper is made of mesh panels all around the toe box, mid panels, and the tongue in these salty gray tones. We have a bit of eyelet leather in similar gray tones, and finally a bunch of hairy suede panels wrapping around the middle height of the shoe, the front of the toe box, sides of the shoe, and the heel portion. This suede is a noticeably different shade than the rest of the shoe, and we have the all too familiar 3M teardrop hits on the sides of the heel. We then have the now famous chunky EVA midsole in a one-tone salty gray with a full boost midsole embedded in the EVA. We also have an all black grooved outsole giving you those all too familiar Wave Runner vibes. Now, while all this is pretty in line with previous 700s, the Yeezy 700 Salt does actually change one thing that you didn't see in previous 700s. It comes with an ortholite insole. And although the shoe is already blessed with a thick boost cushion midsole, this is a more than welcome addition because, as we all know, boost is the most effective when it's freeform and not restricted by other materials. And with the 700, we always have that thick EVA midsole to dampen the effects of the massive amount of boost in there. That's not to say that you don't feel it, because you definitely do, just not as much as if it was revealed and exposed the way it is on an Ultra Boost, for example. Now, the biggest thing hyping these shoes up was that they were the most limited of the bunch, but before we get into that, feel free to follow me on Instagram at Picsoleated, that's at Picsoleated, for fire sneaker content and future giveaways. I've got a few hype giveaways coming very soon, so you won't want to miss it. Just know it's going to be toasty. Back to the shoe, and yes, these shoes sold out hella fast pretty much everywhere they released because of how limited they were, but I didn't really feel the saltiness that I normally feel from releases like this. You know, when shoes release on a Saturday and many people are going for them, but most take the L, you can just sense the sodium in the air and the pain of not being able to cop a pair. Ironically enough, there just wasn't that same salt in the air as there normally is. I think there are a few key lessons to take from this. We know that there are people who are buying these for different reasons. For example, there are people who are buying to keep and wear. Then we know there are people who are buying them just to sell them for a profit. And we also know there are people that are buying them because they are diehard Yeezy fans and Yeezy sneaker collection completionists who need every shoe the man designs and releases. We could go on forever. But we also know that the people who are buying these to resell probably bought majority of the stock of this sneaker. And if you look at resale prices, they're not really going for above retail for the better stock sizes. While resellers made their decision to buy based on limited stock, maybe it wouldn't hurt to look at the bigger picture and take note of the colorway and really just how this Yeezy model does in the market to begin with. I mean, it's not the most amazing colorway. In fact, it's the complete opposite of that. Generally, it doesn't resell well because the retail price is already so high for the Yeezy 700. At $400 Canadian, we end up paying $452 after taxes here in Ontario, which is no joke of a price point. That coupled with a pretty generic colorway, nothing to write home about. They should have just left these for the people that wanted them. Now, granted, some of the smaller and larger sizes are going for a little above retail. It's still a pretty unremarkable colorway for some to be willing to shell out half a grand Canadian on them. Your return on investment on these is really questionable here. Now, I get that some of you are gonna hold it and wait for the price to go up, and that might be the case and it might make a little more sense. Maybe pairs will dry up and the price will go up a bit, but was it really worth that extra $30 profit to wait 6+ months to a year? Or could you have made more with $400 elsewhere? Think about that. Anyways, investment lessons aside, while this is a pretty plain color, I'm not gonna lie, I really do like the tone of this colorway. I've always been a fan of the Yeezy 700s and the Static 700 V2, even though it's another one-tone color shoe. Something about these two shades, the Static and these salts, it just looks very clean to me. This is the type of shade that doesn't need much colors to speak volumes, kind of like a mix between light bone and a mint ice cream. It gives you this milky look that makes you feel like the midsole was carved out of some clay molding. I don't know if that's an appealing idea or not, but to me it is, I guess. Almost like the shape of a cloud in solid form on your feet. The comfort is there. Most often, thick-soled dad shoes aren't known for their comfort, but the Yeezy 700 is known for being the best at bringing comfort to this style of shoe. With the Boost midsole and now Ortholite insole, there is no question that this is the most comfortable Yeezy 700 out there. As for sizing, I'll go true to size. I'm a wide foot and have had no issues with previous 700s, and this feels exactly the same. If you went true to size and feel like your 700s are too tight on the toes on your first wear, trust me, you're fine. They do break in. I broke in my Yeezy 700 mobs by stuffing sneaker shields in them and adding a bit of force for a few minutes. You can do the same even with shoe trees or anything you can use to put pressure on the toe box from the inside. I feel going half a size up makes them fit too loose, so definitely break them in before doing that. Thank me later. Overall, the Yeezy Boost 700 is a nice addition to the Yeezy 700 catalog. It's a little understated, but a good option for those that might think the Wave Runner or Mauve colorways are just too much color. A more muted option isn't a bad thing. For me though, if I were to spend $400 on a pair of shoes, I'd want more color or something else to sweeten the deal. What did you guys think about the Yeezy 700 Salt? Are you salty you didn't get them? Did you cop, or did you decide they weren't for you? Let me know in the comments. Catch you later. Picsoleated oversalted his steak. It's gross.